This video is brought to you by the Roll for Combat Actual Play podcast and their Agents of Edgewatch Adventure, and by the Deck of Mini and their Hecna 5e campaign book on Kickstarter now. Hello and welcome back to the Gallant Goblin. Today we have our full case review of the newest set of pre-painted minis for Dungeons & Dragons. This is Icons of the Realms Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frostmaiden, which released September 15th, 2020. This is an Icons of the Realms booster set, meaning the figures come in blind boxes like these that give you 4 random minis, 1 large or huge, and 3 medium or small. There's a lot to know about what minis you get in a box, the rarity distributions, and how to mitigate some of that randomness. And so we, and by we I mean Grady, wrote up a comprehensive explainer that you can check out by clicking the little link in the video description down below or in the eye in the corner of your screen. If you still have questions after looking through that, please leave them for me in the comments section down below. This set is cohesive, thematic, and fun. Every figure has that wintry northern theme to them, and unlike some of the previous sets, every mini inside supports the adventure. This adventure is heavy on dark terror, and it's set in Icewind Dale, where the flickering candlelights of civilization, known as the 10 Towns, are all that sheds light on the horrors that await you out in the icy wilderness. So let's see what story opportunities await you by taking a closer look at our minis. Reged Nomads consist of 4 tribes living in the shadow of the immense Reged Glacier. Each tribe has its own chieftain and its own opinions of each other and the 10 towns of Icewind Dale. They feature prominently in Rime of the Frostmaiden and also appear in Storm King's Thunder. The 4 chieftains each get unique stat blocks in the Icewind Dale adventure, but otherwise the book recommends using the Monster Manual stat blocks for Tribal Warrior, Druid, and Gladiator depending on the Reged role and status. These human hunter figures are great for NPCs or as a ranged player character. Dressed in furs, they epitomize life in the icy tundra where hunting is critical to survival. The antlers they wear suggest perhaps that they hunt reindeer, though other common prey include hares, elk, mammoths, seals, and walruses. That said, a lot of the 10-town diet and economy revolves around fishing instead of hunting, with Knucklehead Trout naturally featuring prominently. Twingas are elemental spirits that first appeared in 5th edition on Cholt and Tomb of Annihilation. They're associated with both plants and natural matter like rocks, ice, and snow. They're fascinated by humanoids, though, and will offer charms that confer supernatural effects if treated well by one. They have a challenge rating of 0 and no attacks. In Icewind Dale, however, it's possible for their charms to have negative effects if they're encountered during unnatural environmental conditions like magically summoned blizzards. There are a lot of generic wild animals in this set, but it's not because WizKids decided to start a petting zoo. These animals all have stat blocks in the Icewind Dale Rime of the Frostmaiden adventure, which in a lot of ways functions as a setting guide for the Icewind Dale region and Arctic areas in general. The fox is a CR0 unaligned beast that tends to avoid towns unless driven by hunger to steal food. Notably, however, they can serve as mounts for Twingas, and sometimes they're actually transformed frost druids patrolling an area to defend it from intruders who would despoil nature. They may be cute, but you underestimate a Yeti Tyke at your own peril. These baby Yetis are 1 to 7 years old and the children of the fearsome Yeti or abominable Yeti. The book notes that while they can be intimidated by larger creatures, they're extremely hard to tame and simply adult Yetis in a tiny cute body. They can camouflage in snow and attack with their claws, having a CR of 1/8. They appear in Icewind Dale Rime of the Frostmaiden. Duergar play a big part in the Rime of the Frostmaiden storyline, and we'll try to avoid spoilers here. The Mind Master has psionic abilities and typically operates as a spy. Mind Masters can turn invisible and mind-control creatures to attack others nearby. Contrary to other Duergar that can enlarge themselves, these Duergar have a reduce ability that changes their size from medium to tiny, perfect for their espionage activities. Their stat block is in Rime of the Frostmaiden with a CR of 2. Many orcs live in the Icewind region, and their raids on settlements in the area was one of the reasons the 10 towns formed in the first place, building up the large town of Bryn Shander into a hilltop stronghold to defend the region and serve as a refuge of last resort. Orcs don't seem to feature prominently in the adventure, and there are no new stat blocks, but there is at least one wilderness encounter featuring orcs from the Many Arrows tribe, and this figure could be used to represent their war chief. The Orog and other relevant orc stat blocks can be found in the Monster Manual, though the race was further explored in Volo's Guide to Monsters. Goliaths do feature prominently in Rime of the Frostmaiden, so this could be used to represent NPCs, but Goliaths have been a playable race since the Elemental Evil Player's Companion, and that information is reproduced in Rime's appendix. If you travel to the spine of the world, the Sky Tower clan and the Wormdoom clan are rival Goliath clans there, and the book includes a CR3 Goliath warrior stat block wielding a great axe and javelins. The Knucklehead Trout is the bedrock of the 10 Towns economy, and the book provides rules for fishing if you want to give it a try yourself. Knucklehead Trout are quite large and strong for fish, weighing up to 70 pounds, and capable of pulling unwary fishermen into the freezing waters. They're found in all 3 of the large lakes that the 10 Towns are built by, with the largest population in Mare Dolden, the deepest lake. Some towns leave a day's worth of Knucklehead Trout outside town every new moon as a sacrifice to Oriel, goddess of winter. They have a CR of 0. The new Mountain Goat stat block in Rime of the Frostmaiden lands between the CR 0 Goat and the CR 1/2 Giant Goat, both from the Monster Manual. This one is CR 1/8 and can charge and ram foes. They're found throughout the spine of the world and on Kelvin's cairn. Though they have lovely thick fur, the book says, quote, their stubbornness makes them difficult to domesticate, so you'll just have to admire them from afar. Unlike kobolds and gnolls, goblins don't have new stat blocks in Rime of the Frostmaiden, but a whole bunch of them can be found in a fortress called Karkalok on the western side of the spine of the world. The goblins often raid caravans, so characters may get a quest in Bryn Shander to eliminate the threat. There's a lot of shenanigans that can happen on this particular side quest, so I won't spoil the details here, but you'll definitely make use of every snow goblin you unbox if you go there. Oh, kobolds! There's a special stat block here, also with a CR of 1/8 that replaces the regular kobold sling with a javelin. The javelins do less damage, but Icewind kobolds use them as walking sticks when walking through the snow. There's also rules that allow 3 of them to wear a jacket and pretend to be a clumsy human. I don't know where they got that idea from. Though the 10 towns largely tolerate kobolds, disguised or otherwise. You can certainly use these kobolds in town, or they can be found serving white dragons, or Velen Harpel, a notable NPC who has a mini in this set. So yes, Curse of Strahd this adventure is not, but there are stat blocks for kobold zombies and kobold vampire spawn in the book, and this mini would probably work as either. These particular vampire spawn are created by Tekali Lee, a Gnoll vampire who also has a mini in this set. They don't understand their master and so largely hide from it. Their stat block is weaker than a standard vampire spawn, though very similar, and has a CR of 3. As we mentioned before, the Duergar feature prominently in this adventure, but this particular art and stat block come from Out of the Abyss. Historically, Icons of the Realm sets often included figures for earlier adventures that couldn't be included at the time, but there's a lot of synergy here, as this character could be used as a generic Duergar too. If you're looking for more Duergar diversity, Elemental Evil and Rage of Demons are 2 previous Icons of the Realm sets that have a Duergar figure, and there's 4 different Duergar minis in the Pathfinder Battles City of Lost Omens set. So someone at WizKids really does like gnolls. I don't know who it is, but this Flind is very similar to the one in the Dungeon of the Mad Maid set, but wearing a pelt instead of armor. Gnolls appear in Rime of the Frostmaiden, though as far as I can tell, the CR9 Flind doesn't, likely because it's way too powerful for an adventure that is mostly in the Tier 2 range. You can find a whole pack of gnolls in the appropriately named Cackling Chasm, where they're led by a Fang of Yinogu named Chizka. Sled dogs use the wolf stat block and are a common sight in Icewind Dale as locals use dog sleds to travel between the 10 towns and into the tundra. Adventurers can buy a sled dog for 50 gold pieces, and each dog can pull 360 pounds, but they must take a short rest for every hour they pull a sled or become exhausted. Traveling by dog sled through the mountains of the north is twice as fast as walking on foot with snowshoes, or 4 times as fast as traveling without the snowshoes. We previously got a regular wolf mini in the first Monster Menagerie set, but it had dark fur and seemed targeted at Curse of Strahd. This one's white fur makes it much more able to blend into the snow of Icewind Dale. A wolf pack is a possible random encounter in the north, and this mini would also work well for shape-shifting druids. A regular wolf has a CR of 4 and is in the basic rules. Mind flayers reproduce by implanting their tadpoles in humanoid heads, whereupon the tadpoles eat and replace the brain before converting the body into that of a new mind flayer. The process has a tendency to go wrong with gnomes, though, and when the process really goes wrong, it creates a squidling instead of a mind flayer. They use their psionic power to float their bodies while walking on the giant tentacles coming from their faces. Ignore them at your peril, though, for they can still eat brains. They also have an ability called Mind Tickle. They're a CR 1/2 creature in Rime of the Frostmaiden. When the process of creating a new mind flayer, also called Ceremorphosis, goes only slightly wrong with a gnome, as opposed to horribly wrong, it results in a Gnome Ceremorph, which is similar to a regular mind flayer but gnome-sized, and retaining some of the host's memories and desire to invent. You can encounter Gnome Seromorphs and Squidlings trying to repair their crashed spaceship in Rime of the Frostmaiden. We previously got a Night Hag mini in a different pose in the Storm King's Thunder set, and the Descent into Avernus set had Mad Maggie, but both sculpts were rare, making this uncommon figure your best bet for getting a traditional-looking Night Hag. You may want multiple ones too, as you'll meet a coven of 3 Night Hags in the Rime of the Frostmaiden adventure. You can find Night Hag stats in the Monster Manual with a CR of 5 by itself or 7 in a coven. They also appear in Curse of Strahd, Dungeon of the Mad Mage, Descent into Avernus, and Tomb of Annihilation, as well as in the Eberron and Theros settings. Yes, more gnolls! As I said before, though, you'll definitely want some of these if your party pays a visit to the Cackling Chasm or gets unlucky on some random encounter rolls. I like to give WizKids grief about making so many gnolls, but the cold weather clothing here is a nice way to shake up the look of a common monster, and it'll be neat if they continue to do that for different environments with gnolls, kobolds, goblins, orcs, and the like, not to mention your player character humanoids. Crag Cats are also known as hunters of men, and they prowl the mountains in search of humanoids, preferring them over other prey. However, the book mentions they can sometimes be found with cubs, and the babies are probably adorable. They have a CR 1 stat block in Rime of the Frostmaiden, but have an interesting trait that allows them to turn spells that target them back on the caster. It's not clear from the lore why exactly, but it certainly makes for an interesting first impression with those casters who love their eldritch blasts and firebolts. Unlike other were creatures, werebears are generally good and able to control their curse. Characters can run into generic Goliath werebears while exploring the northern wilderness, and they're happy to act as guides or assist in other ways for free. Oyaminartok, sounds like a Klingon to me, is a progenitor of other Goliath werebears, and she only transforms other Goliaths into werebears if they prove to be good and worthy. Goliath werebears are CR 8 creatures in Rime of the Frostmaiden. Reindeer are one of the chief sources of sustenance for Reged nomads, and the Reged follow the migration paths of reindeer herds throughout the year. The importance of these herds are well known not only to the Reged but other residents of Icewind Dale, and adventurers who hunt or harm them in excess will encounter significant disapproval. Reindeer don't have their own stat block, instead using the elk stats from the basic rules. Someone on the writing team really likes the word galumph, as both Goliath werebears and snowy owlbears are described as galumphing across the tundra. In any case, snowy owlbears use the stat blocks of the regular owlbear, but with a swimming speed of 30 feet. And of course, the bear part of them is a polar bear rather than an owlbear bear. They will eat humanoids but prefer wild game, so if you feed it and are nice to it, well, the words party mascot are in the book. I recommend, of course, that you name your snowy owlbear Barry Mana Snow. The winter wolf is bigger than your regular wolf and can be found in the basic rules with a CR of 3. We previously got a winter wolf mini in the Storm King's Thunder set, but this one has wider fur, more suitable for blending into a snowy environment. Many winter wolves serve Oriel, and the Frostmaiden may send some after adventurers who incur her wrath. Killer whales can be found roaming the seas in large herds and primarily show up in Icewind Dale as random encounters. As their name suggests, they can be quite dangerous. As I alluded to back in our unboxing of this set, they're considered a natural predator of moose. Their stat block is actually in the basic rules, and they have a CR of 3. They can be summoned by the Conjure Face spell, and they also appear in Storm King's Thunder and in Bullwinkle's Worst Nightmares. The abominable Yeti is larger than a regular Yeti and much more dangerous, with an added cold breath attack. They are ever hungry, and while they typically stay away from civilization, they're more than willing to attack if their natural food sources or nearby herds dwindle. Their stat block is in the Monster Manual with a CR of 9. Abominable Yetis appear in Dungeon of the Mad Maid, Storm King's Thunder, Arctic Encounter Tables, and Xanathar's Guide to Everything, and Rime of the Frostmaiden. Mammoths can show up throughout Icewind Dale, and they're in the basic rules as CR6 beasts, but Rime of the Frostmaiden has 2 interesting twists on them. For one, there's an awakened mammoth characters can encounter. Also, frost giants ride them as mounts in Icewind Dale. Now, sadly, the frost giant mini in this set can't really be placed atop the mammoth, but the idea is still quite cool. Frost salamanders are elementals from the elemental plane of ice. They're detailed in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, which explains they end up on the material plane by wandering through the planar gates. They enjoy digging and burrowing, carving out massive caves that travelers can stop to rest in, not realizing they've actually been lured into a trap. The salamander then pounces, and it doesn't even have to pay a food delivery fee. They may be tamed by frost giants to help them construct outposts. They have a CR of 9. Here we get our first rare, and appropriately, it's also the first form of Oriel, goddess of cold and winter. In Rime of the Frostmaiden, Oriel is casting a spell that traps the north in eternal winter. Players will eventually have to confront her. Those who wish to fight her will have to fight all 3 of her forms. The Cold Crone, also seen on the cover of the book, is her first form. It has a challenge rating of 9, reflecting her weakened state due to the strain of casting her spell on the region. The Brittle Maiden is Oriel's second form. The mini may appear to be quite big for its base, and that's because the creature is actually large-sized in the book. As you'd expect from a deity, all 3 of Oriel's forms have legendary resistances and legendary actions, as well as layer actions. Each form has different abilities, with the Cold Crone attacking with talons, while the Brittle Maiden has many ice-based attacks. The fight escalates in difficulty, with the Brittle Maiden having a CR of 10. Oriel's third and final form is called either Winter's Womb or the Queen of Frozen Tears, and its size is supposed to be small. To paraphrase Christopher Perkins, the idea is that you're fighting Oriel backwards in time, first as the old crone, then as the maiden, and now here as basically a winter diamond holding her divine spark. This is her most primal and dangerous form, with a CR of 11. Okay, if you've made it this far, presumably you don't mind spoilers too much, but let's just make it clear that there will be some spoilers when discussing all these named NPCs in the set. Zardarak is notable as a Duergar for leading his clan out of the Underdark to settle the surface. Characters may meet his sons early in the adventure, creating a hook that leads to the discovery of his plan to... No, I'm not going to give this particular spoiler. He can enlarge himself, so it's too bad there isn't a large-size version of him. There are enlarged Duergar minis in the Pathfinder Battles City of Lost Omens set, but they don't really look like him. Zardarak has a CR of 5. The adventure features 4 wizards from the Arcane Brotherhood racing to be the first to rediscover ancient magical artifacts. Nass is the least qualified among them, having lied her way into the ranks of her more powerful colleagues. The Arctic Weasel on her shoulder is her familiar and not a regular animal. While I'm not one to question such a nice-looking mini as this, there's actually no opportunity to meet Nass in this form, though you can use the mini to stand in for her actual appearance. Only one of the Arcane Brotherhood Brotherhood characters lacks a mini in this set. He's a Red Wizard of Thay, though he often disguises himself, so you can represent him with any bundled up Spellcaster mini, or the Red Wizard mini from the Tyranny of Dragons set. Nass, when you do meet her, has a CR of 6. Avarice is another wizard from the Arcane Brotherhood. She has a Raven familiar and also travels with 2 gargoyles. She's not a very nice person, and she's highly paranoid. She makes an uneasy ally at best should the party team up with her, and she'll try to keep herself out of harm's way as much as possible. She specializes in evocation magic and has a CR of 7. As if gnolls aren't bad enough normally, Rime of the Frostmaiden introduces Gnoll Vampires. Unlike most vampires, Gnoll Vampires aren't created by other vampires. Instead, they arise when a regular gnoll hungers for flesh and blood so much in life that it rises from the dead to continue eating. Tekalili is one such Gnoll vampire who stalks the party during the climactic section of the adventure, and can be quite a pain in the neck. Get it? Pain in the neck? Anyway, Gnoll Vampires have a CR of 8. Valin Harpel thanks you for being a friend. Travel down the road and defeated a dragon. Wait, you're telling me this isn't B. Arthur with an eye patch? Oof, missed opportunity. Anyway, that said, Valin rounds out our Arcane Brotherhood bunch, and she's an unscrupulous but super fun NPC who can tag along with the party for a while, offering her assistance at critical junctures of the story with a clear explanation that the characters will owe her a favor. She's accompanied by a cadre of kobolds, including a couple of zombie ones, and she's overall just the best. She has a CR of 4. This says a lot about how incredible the set is, that this impressive creature isn't the capstone mini. Tomb Tappers were created by ancient Netherese arcanists through terrible sacrifices, and they retain the memories of those killed to make them. They're fascinated by magic and constantly search the Underdark for magic items to hoard and worship. They were created as weapons against magical creatures in the Underdark, and their stat block is in Rime of the Frostmaiden and has a CR of 10. From a stat block perspective, this dragon is an adult dragon. There are 4 age categories for dragons in 5th edition D&D: Wormling, Young, Adult, and Ancient. There's no new age categories in Rime of the Frostmaiden, and adult dragons are huge in size, which matches this one's base. I assume the only reason it isn't just labeled as an adult dragon is because it's quite small compared to the adult white premium figure sold separately. You can see our review of that figure by clicking up that little eye in the corner of the screen. And since dragons don't just magically enlarge to a new size on their birthday, this is a small adult dragon, or a young adult. White dragons of many different ages appear throughout Icewind Dale, and you can also get a gargantuan-size ancient white dragon when the mini for Arveatris releases January 2021. Adult white dragons have a CR of 13 in the basic rules. Frost giants are found throughout the north, and you can encounter them while exploring the wilderness. You may also meet the ghosts of some. Frost giants also appear on Ariel's island stronghold. There's no new frost giant stat blocks in Rime of the Frostmaiden, but the basic rules has a CR 8 stat block, while Storm King's Thunder has a variant of that block that can restrain targets with nets. We previously got Frost Giants in the Storm King's Thunder and Monster Menagerie 3 sets, and this one fits right in with them. And finally, our capstone mini, the Frost Giant Skeleton. As you might expect, these are dead Frost Giants reanimated through necromancy. There's a mysterious area in the north with a ring of giant-sized thrones that might be haunted. You'll also encounter these skeletons in the final section of the adventure. Rime of the Frostmaiden introduces the new Frost Giant Skeleton stat block, which has a CR of 6. You may have noticed that the Frost Giant and the Frost Giant Skeleton represent the same creature, wearing the same clothes and carrying the same weapon, which really opens up some great story opportunities with these particular minis. The only difference is that at some point between the first and the second mini, he found himself a new hat. Looking back over the last few years, we have a pretty diverse set of Frost Giant minis at this point. As you can see, the color of their skin has changed somewhat over time, but you can certainly use them all together if you really want to give your players a punishing encounter. The Young Adult White Dragon mini comes with the wings unattached, but it's an easy process of pressing them into place. Here you can see our new Young Adult White Dragon next to the Young White Dragon mini from the Elemental Evil set and the new plus-sized Adult White Dragon that released recently. If you want to see more about it, you can watch our video review through the link in the eye in the corner of your screen. Again, overall, this is one of my favorite booster sets yet. Of course, not every set includes huge-sized creatures, which have the 3x3-inch base, so it's always fun to get those. The set is more cohesive than most, with a focus on the Icewind Dale wintry environment, which is reflected in the clothing of not only the humanoid characters, but also the monsters like the Gnolls. It also includes a great set of wild animals like the orca, the reindeer, the wolves, and the fox, which is fantastic not only for setting the ambience of the region and setting up wilderness encounters, but also for giving yourself more things to put in your box labeled Druid Wild Shape minis. And again, all of these minis actually do make appearance in the adventure, with the one exception of the Gnoll Flind, but Gnolls are quite numerous in Icewind Dale, so it's not hard to include him on your own as long as you have the Volo's guide for his stats and description. No figures arrived broken. One of the snowy owlbears had popped off his base, but that was an easy fix. There was no severe bending of the figures in the set either, except for some of the spears and longer weapons. The only bent figure was Velen Harpel, but as always, it's easily fixed by placing it under hot tap water, gently reshaping it, and then letting it rest for a while in an icy water bath until it hardens again. It's always interesting to look through a book to see which creatures didn't make the cut to be included in the mini set. Personally, I would have loved to have seen the Kingsport and the Axebeak included. One just for being so darn cute, and the other because it's an important creature for the Icewind Dale communities for transportation, and it's a sled dog replacement for the players as well. One thing to note, more living spells were introduced in this adventure, like a living Bigby's Hand. While we didn't get any new minis for those, it's a great opportunity to bust out your copy of WizKids Spell Effects, Arcane Fury, and Divine Might. You can see our review of that set, including its Bigby's Hand, by clicking the eye in the corner of your screen. So, another awesome set of minis here from our friends at WizKids. Let me know what you think of the set in the comment section down below. The next D&D set from them is Fangs and Talons, releasing in just 2 months. And then in December, we have Darklands Rising for Pathfinder, and our first Starfinder booster set shortly after that. Basically, it's going to be a busy winter here at the Gallant Goblin. One thing I want to let you know about, I'll be a guest player on the Band of Badgers live play Twitch stream at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific time on Thursday, September 17th over on Twitch. Brought to you by Paizo and Beetle and Grims. It's my first live play on a Twitch game, and it would mean a lot to me if you would kind of come over and just give me some support in the chat. Let me know that you enjoy watching us, and I don't know, just give me a little love over there. You can be notified when we go live by following their Twitch channel and enabling notifications. I'll let you know on our social media platforms too, so if you're interested, come follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. Now that Icewind Dale is out, we have 2 giveaway winners to announce. First, from our Icons of the Realms Boneyard announcement video. Our winner from that one is Carpin Octomprods. I think I got that. Congratulations to you. And from our Icewind Dale preview unboxing video, the winner is for that one, Jacqueline Dolly. Congratulations to you too. You're both getting booster boxes of Icewind Dale minis from us, so drop us a note at thegallantgoblin@gmail.com to claim your prize. I've got another Gallant Goblin announcement for you as well. So you've got all these minis at home, and I'm always talking about the storytelling potential in them. Well, we wanted to make that even easier for you. We're excited to announce that we're working on a series of books called Fight Your Minis that will give you everything you need to know to tell amazing stories and have epic encounters with your best minis. We give you all the background and lore and combat strategies, unique stat blocks, story hooks, and one-shot encounter stories that you can drop right into your ongoing campaigns. And we're partnering up with some of the best creative minds in the D&D community to bring you some amazing and fun ways to use your minis. From the Icewind Dale set here, we'll have a supplement for our friend and yours, Barry Manisnow, our snowy owlbear. We'll be releasing these over on dmsguild.com. We'll let you know when they hit the store, but if you're watching this in the future, go ahead and look in the video description down below to see if there's some links already. Now, let me take a moment to thank our sponsors for this video. First, we have our new sponsor, the Roll for Combat Actual Play Podcast. Roll for Combat is a long-running, very prolific official Paizo partner that brings you complete adventures in the Pathfinder and Starfinder universe. And they're about to start a very brand new campaign this Friday, September 18th, 2020. So it's a great jumping on point for the podcast. They'll be playing the newest Pathfinder adventure path, Agents of Edgewatch, which I've been really excited about here on the channel. Trust me, this story has some unbelievable story moments, and I plan to run one myself one day if I can. The Roll for Combat crew will be playing City Watch agents in the vast city of Absalom in the Pathfinder universe, and this adventure will be unlike anything you've seen before in a RPG adventure. This is not a random band of chaotic good adventurers. These are professional City Watch agents who have to make really tough choices to stay within the law of the city. So come join me on September 18th at rollforcombat.com or on your podcasting app of choice. We also want to thank our long-term sponsor, the Deck of Many. Their Kickstarter for their new campaign book, Hekna, is still ongoing, and it's doing gangbusters. It features a customizable campaign that'll take your party from level 1 to 10 in their new dark carnival setting known as the Revelia, overseen by the mysterious mask-wearing Hekna. Through the Kickstarter, you can pick up the book, the PDFs, minis, standees, maps, animated reference cards, and so much more. Use the link in the eye up in the corner or in the video description down below to check out the campaign and see if it's a good fit for you and your gaming group. My friends and I have been having just the best time playing our Humblewood adventure, and this looks like a fantastic project as well from the Deck of Many folks. So go check it out. Go check out Hekna over at Kickstarter now. And that's it for us today. Thank you for watching all the way to the end here. I really appreciate it. We have a lot more fun things to show you over the next few weeks, so be sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss anything. If you enjoyed the video, please consider clicking the little thumbs up button down there and sharing the video with your friends. Finally, as always, stay safe and have fun. I'll see you next time at the Gallant Goblin.